Canadian Professional Football, brought to you by Canadian Pacific, serving you in Canada and around the world.
And by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation and its affiliated stations from coast to coast, bringing you the best in sports action.
Alouette Football Club. They have had internal problems in Montreal these past 6 days, the details of which I'm sure you're all familiar with. The Toronto Argonauts are in pretty good shape. The question here in Toronto is, in what kind of shape is this football field? Well, they put down new turf over that part that was turned up last Saturday. They've had good wind and lots of sun, so it's not bad at all. I'm Tom McKee, and in the press box are Don Chevrier and Russ Jackson.
Well, the most pressing thing, as Tom said, for Montreal is the loss of Dennis Duncan right now. How important, can you put it into words, how much it's going to cost him?
Well, I think certainly it's going to cost the Montreal Alouettes a great deal, Don. He was their top ground gainer against the Toronto Argonauts in these 3 ball games, and having to shift the offensive backfield around is certainly going to cause them problems today.
Well, these teams were very, very close, as we know, on the 3 regular season games. In fact, they played 4. One was a preseason game here in Toronto. But over the regular season, it was 2 wins for the Alouettes and 1 for the Argonauts. The total points, as you see, is pretty close. The Alouettes won both their games by exactly 1 touchdown. The Argonauts theirs by a field goal, 16-13. And both have an abundance of offensive strength. 15 touchdowns scored between them in these 3 games. And George Springate hitting the mark on every field goal attempt for the Montreal Alouettes. Jonas was 4 for 7 for the Toronto Argonauts. The passing, again, close. The better percentage belongs to Wilkinson and Jonas of Toronto, over Sonny Wade and Tony Pissander of Montreal, right down the line, including overall passing yardage in favor of Toronto. And this guy will be tough to stop, even though Duncan's gone. Moses Benson with gains of 170 yards rushing, but of the 500 yards Montreal ran against Toronto, 266 yards belong to Dennis Duncan. So more than half that total offense is out of the game today. In punting, Dave Mann had the edge on Sonny Wade by almost 5 yards. Got to say better than that. And of course, in playoff games, with overtime looming as a possibility, that punting is a very big factor. As is number 25, Terry Evanson, wide receiver for the Montreal Alouettes. The Argonauts had the worst in penalties, exactly double to that of the Montreal Als. There are other changes to us brought about by the suspension of Bob McCarthy and some new people the Alouettes have brought in.
Yes, well, Thompson, who played with the Alouettes earlier, is going to start at the defensive corner spot for Davis, and Cook and Story and Pullen will be more or less changing into the 2 positions, the slot back and the flanker, with Pullen possibly playing the slot back. That's the flanker spot. When Story comes in, Story will be in the slot back position. So this is going to take some adjusting by the quarterback, Sonny Wade, in terms of getting his offense running.
The Argonauts don't know, in fact, the Alouettes are still here. His house at a fullback is Bruce Van Ness. Certainly not as fast, but perhaps as strong as Duncan.
This was his strong point in coming to Montreal. He runs inside, I think, much better than outside, and he has not been used this way by the Alouettes, and we'll find out today.
The Argonauts got the first jump today in the way of wins because the pregame ceremonies include the presentation of 2 of the major trophies in the Eastern Conference to Jim Corrigal, number 79, and Bill Simons, number 33. Corrigal is the Rookie of the Year, and this award is for Canadians only. The winner of the Bruin Award in the Eastern Conference. Of course, the Argonauts won a bidding war with the St. Louis Cardinals to get him here in 1970. And Bill Simons, the winner of the Jeff Russell Memorial Trophy, as the player best combining sportsmanship with ability in Eastern Conference games. Bill Simons, of course, will be a key figure in this game. And you go back over the years and think about players presented with awards before the game. I think of Russ Jackson here in Ottawa last year before that final playoff game. It has to be an inspiration of sorts to a football player to receive this award just before an important playoff game, such as we have here today. And nobody, I think, would question the awarding of the outstanding Jeff Russell Trophy to Bill Simon, the sister of the late Jeff Russell, Mr. Dorothy Williams there making the presentation. So the Alouettes and the Toronto Argonauts are all set. We'll be ready for our national anthem and the opening kickoff after this message.
At CP Rail, we try to put ourselves in your shoes. If you're a butcher, for instance, we've got controlled temperature cards. If you're a miner, we've got full cards, lots of them. If you're a reporter, we've got newsprint cards. If you make television sets, we've got some printers to put them in. If you're a logger, we've got cards to put your wood chips in. Cowboy? Oh, yeah. For ranchers, we've got cattle cards. For builders, we've got flat cards. For carpenters, we've got lumber cards. You make cars, we've got tri-level carriers. Trucks, bi-level carriers. For truck drivers, we've got piggyback cards. If you're a cement maker, we've got a covered hopper card. And if you ship canned goods, we've got a very special heated insulated card. You grow sugar beets, here's our drop bottom gondola. You're a traveler. Good. For you, we've got Phoenix Dome cards. At CP Rail, seeing things from your point of view, help us plan new ways to do a better job for you. CP Rail, another way Canadian Pacific serves you.
The Montreal Alouettes, the underdogs here, despite the fact they have taken 2 of 3 league games from the Argonauts this season, but those changes in the Alouette lineup and the fact that they are playing away from home obviously influence the thinking when they come to naming favorites and underdogs here. The weather conditions here are just unbelievable for mid-November. It is 55 degrees. And this crowd, of course, will be enjoying that along with the players. The field much improved now over the 1970 season finale last weekend. But the winds are the main factor. They're gusting up to 25 miles an hour out of the northwest. And the favoring wind will be behind the Montreal Alouettes for this first quarter. And the Alouettes are also going to receive the football on the opening kickoff. So the Argonauts are confident they can hold the Montreal team in the opening minutes. That's the official kickoff by Miss Canada, Julie Maloney. And Ron Andrews says, as we will get set to watch it again now in slow motion, it traveled exactly 15 yards. The officials for the game this afternoon: the referee is Gibb Sagan, the line umpire Bill Dell, downfield umpires Jim King, head linesman Lauren Woods, field judge Art Fergie, 3 deep backs to receive Dave Mann's kickoff with plenty of speed, Lewis Cook, Moses Benson, and Bobby Lee Thompson back with the Alouettes for the first time since 1962. And the sudden death Eastern semifinal is underway. Moses Benson. Pete Martin leaning in to supply the tackle along with Ed Harrington across the 35-yard line near the 37. And that represents a triple threat on kickoffs for the Montreal Owls with those 3 speedbacks in there. And, of course, the big replacement is for Dennis Duncan in the fullback spot, and that is Bruce Van Ness, number 30. Moses Benson is 26. Peter Delariva, 74, is the tight end. The slot back is Pullen, number 75. The quarterback is Sonny Wade, 14. That pass was underthrown as Wade's arm was caught by Ed Harrington. It will be 2nd and 10. Lewis Cook, wearing sweater 34, back from the injured list, was the downfield receiver, but the ball was far short of the mark. Gene Cepatelli is the Montreal center, number 45. With Desjardins, 63, and Canale, 57, as the guards, and they're, of course, the key to any offense. Delariva may have a first down at the 48-yard line. Jim Colville, number 79, finally wrestling him down, along with Mike Bloom, number 70, the left corner linebacker. The gain is 11, and a first down for the Montreal Alouettes. 48-yard line, their own. The Argonaut defensive lineout has Gary Insteep at one defensive end and Ed Harrington at the other. The tackles are Wadsworth and Balasek, 59 and 64. Terry Evanson. Tomlin takes him down inside the Toronto 45. And Evanson left wide open on that play.
The Toronto Argonauts started with two zone defenses on the first series of plays, and then on that particular defensive maneuver, they went to a man-to-man, and Tomlin was covering Evanson, and he turned him around in circles and left him standing still to leave himself wide open for a good first down.
It's a gain of 19 at the 43 of Toronto. Argonaut linebackers, Aldridge 31, Colville playing the middle 79, and Mike Bloom on the left side, number 70. Evanson goes to the left side this time with Lewis Cook and Tom Pullen for the first down play. Moses Johnson, 3 yards, 40-yard line. Walt Balasek, defensive left tackle. With the stop on behalf of the Argonauts. The Argonauts beatbox, and they could be trusted severely by Sonny Wade today, are Dick Clayton, 25, Chip Barrett, number 30. Now Lester back from the one-game absence, number 27. Ron Aaron, 17, and Jim Tomlin, number 23. Again, 3 receivers wide left for Montreal's 2nd and 7 play. Harrington way down, loss of 10. Perhaps we might see just where he came from.
Van Ness, the lead blocker here, let Harrington get inside him, and he just had a free go to Sonny Wade. It seemed that the blocking of Van Ness and Benson coming out of the backfield got a little too far ahead of actually the point where Wade wanted him to be, and this gave him a complete, Harrington, a complete free path into Wade.
He ran down number 65, Ed George, who is now leaving the field, and Walt Highsmith is coming in. George limped off to the sidelines. The Argonauts have Sternberg and Aldridge back at the 5-yard line for the expected third down punt. It is now 3rd and 17. Wade check. Sternberg, 8-yard line. Out to the 15. Tom Pullen, 75, with a Montreal tackle. 42-yard kick to Sonny Wade, the Alouette quarterback. And there's Tony Sasander, the backup man, with the former great quarterback, now the head coach, Stan the Rifle Echeverry, at the Montreal bench. For the first time today, the Toronto Argonauts have their hands on the ball. The 14-yard line, the line of scrimmage. We have no score. 3 minutes gone in the first quarter in Toronto. Wilkinson, number 19, the starting quarterback. Dave Rainey. A 1-yard gain. Charlie Collins, the middle linebacker, number 50, rocking him back for just the 1.
Don, there was some speculation as to whether Bobby Taylor would start offensively with the Toronto Argonauts, and Bland, number 32, Tommy Bland, is starting with Thorpe at the other flanker spot. So I think we will see Bobby Taylor, although he isn't 100%, I'm sure.
Tony Moore goes out and Paul Marshall comes in. 2nd and 9, 15-yard line. Bland and Thorpe in motion. The interception by Gene Gaines at the 17-yard line. That is the 11th interception by the Alouettes against Toronto passes this year.
Tom Wilkinson had good protection on this particular play, and Mel Prophet, starting downfield, seemed to be the intended receiver, and he threw it well over top of Prophet, and the Montreal Alouettes in his own defense, Gene Gaines playing the free safety position, picked it off.
There's a timeout on the field with 11 minutes to play. In the first quarter, the score is Montreal nothing and Toronto nothing. We figured we would see plenty of interceptions today. These teams had 19 between them in the three games involving the two in the regular season, an average of more than 6 a game combined. Montreal first down, Argonauts 17-yard line. So Moses Jensen too far at the 15-yard line. Wade first looked into the end zone for 34 Lewis Cook. And then as Jensen played to his right, tried to hit him. It'll be 2nd and 10. Tony Wade has given up 9 interceptions. The pass we saw a moment ago picked off by Gene Gaines was the 7th, or at least the 3rd against Argonauts quarterback Tom Wilkinson. Don Jonas has given up half a dozen. Too far for Terry Evanson. Tony Wade simply threw the ball away, knowing that he had tight coverage on his receiver. Gary Inskeep, 68, was right there on Wade's doorstep. So it goes to 3rd down and 10 from the 17-yard line. Red Springate was good on 3 of 3 against Toronto in the regular season. Ball held by Larry Fairholm. It'll come from the 26-yard line, right on the left. He's got it. And the Montreal Alouettes throwing a pass interception into 3 points. They take the lead here in this 7th Eastern Division semifinal game in the CFL. Montreal 3, the Argonauts nothing, with about 5 minutes gone in this first quarter.
Don, the Toronto Argonauts again are doing quite a job of disguising their defense with Thornton number 25 on Cook 34 and Conlon 23 covering Evanson 25.
There was Ed George still limping at the Montreal bench. Wilkinson remains at quarterback. This is Bill Shannon, the option. It's chased out by number 17, Moore Todd, and number 51, Walt Highsmith. No gain on the play.
We saw Ed George there down a moment ago limping on the sidelines, number 65 for Montreal. There's a strain down on his left ankle. They've taped it up, and he should be back in the action as soon as he can walk it off.
Jim Thorpe, number 20, and Tom Bland, 32, head to the right side. Rainey has a yard, no more at the 36-yard line. Mike Widger, the white quarter linebacker, and the safety man Gene Gaines moving in quickly to contain Dave Rainey and lead the Argonauts 3rd and 9.
Charlie Boy also helps Montreal there, standing in the way. That'll be pushed out.
Dave Mann now had to push this punt out in the Montreal territory. Couture and Stewart wait for it back at the 30. Good check. Back to the 25. Couture. Prophet has him at the 31-yard line, and the Alouettes just out from there. The ship traveling exactly 50 yards. Couture got it back 6. And the Alouettes have been the dominant force in this game, both defensively, forcing the interception by Gene Gaines, And offensively, being able to move to a couple of first downs in their first series of plays. Lewis Cook goes wide right. Number 30 is Van Ness, the fullback, at Benson 26, the side end. Chase Van Ness, 45-yard line, has 14 and a Montreal first down in his first carry of the game. Jim Tomlin and Marv Lester finally caught up with him.
Number 26 gets a good block here, and Van Ness showing that he can run inside. Moves outside this as Benson, number 26, you'll see him keeping Aldridge out of the play, and Van Ness proving that he can run inside. Went around that block for a first down.
A long stride he takes, too. Here's Benson. Corrigan had the trail for about 3 yards before he made the tackle at the 48. It'll be a gain of 3. It'll leave Montreal 2nd and 7.
Virtually all the field that you can see here is brand new sod, having been put down since last Saturday. Some of it's starting to feel a little bit, but so far it's holding quite well. He certainly didn't bother Van Ness on his first run of this sequence.
Evanston. Tomlin forcing him out near the Toronto bench. Evanston and Dave Mann collide there as Evanston reached the sidelines. But the 7.5-minute mark of the first quarter, the score is Montreal 3 and Toronto nothing.
This quarter of Canadian professional football is being brought to you by Canadian Pacific. Serving you in so many ways.
We've reached about the midway point in the first quarter, and the Alouettes are 3 points closer to the Eastern final on the Argonauts side. Montreal with the ball, third down and about a yard to go. And Sonny Wade goes back into punt formation. Argonauts passing back with Sternberg and Aldridge. Flag thrown at the line of scrimmage. Sternberg at the 21-yard line, fielding the Wade's check. Justin Canale down with Pullen to make the tackles for Montreal as they confer now about the marker thrown at the line of scrimmage. Desjardins and Wade for Montreal and Lester on behalf of the Toronto Argonauts. As the referee signals from Gibbs Program, it is outside against Montreal. It has been declined, and the ball will stay back at the 21-yard line. First down for Toronto.
Van Ness is going to play an important factor in the first half of this ball game. Sternberg has had trouble fielding both punts from Sonny Wade, and he is looking into quite a strong thumb field down there to the right of your picture.
Tom Wilkinson in for the third offensive series of plays for the Argonauts. They have not moved the ball. In fact, lasted once in the theater of attempted. Dave Simon, 1 yard, 22-yard line, stopped by Walt Highsmith and Gordon Judges. And you see one of the Alouettes carefully replacing the divot. Argonauts' total offense at this stage in their third series of plays is 3 yards. Montreal is 56 by comparison.
Additional voice proposed there. Look at it.
2nd and 9. June 3rd. Touchdown. June 4th got in behind Bobby Lee Thompson and Alfred App and outran into the end zone.
The Montreal Alouettes staying in a zone defense were beaten back to the weak side with double flankers to the left of the Argonaut offense. Bobby Lee Thompson seemed to go to sleep out here and got in behind Fairholm and Thompson on that zone, and he just took it over top of them and beat everybody into the end zone.
88 yards, the touchdown play as the extra point attempt comes from Don Jonas with Dick Thornton holding. Outside. Jonas follows through and makes good on it. Now we've got it to 7.
Well, it's kind of early to start this sort of thing, and we'll go to the showers early, that's for sure.
Charlie Collins, number 50, being hustled back to his side of the field by his teammates. Here's the indication. It was offside against Montreal, as you saw, and the Argonauts will have a second chance to convert. The play had been stopped, even though Jonas followed through and made good on the kick. This time it just gets over that bar.
Oh, that looks one in, but it still counts as one.
Jonas grudgingly converts the touchdown. It's 7-3, a lead of 4 points now for Toronto, and we have the indication, as we knew from the pregame record between the two, of a exciting, high-scoring kind of game. Sonny Wade, the Sander on the right, and Sam Etcheverry conferring about getting back those points on behalf of the Alouettes. Again, watch these two deep receivers. Extremely dangerous for Montreal, going back toward the goal line. Number 21, Bobby Lee Thompson. Number 26, Moses Benson in the middle. And on the far side, 34, Lewis Cook, awaiting Dave Mann's kick. Bobby Lee Thompson. Couldn't break down the block, and the ball came loose. It's picked up by Sternberg. They're going to whistle it down, and Montreal will retain possession. Jim Corrigan made the tackle that tried the ball loose.
Bobby Lee Thompson getting initiated into running kickoffs back here, and he's hit by Sternberg, and then come across, and that ball popped out here, and you can watch for yourself. Corrigan pulling that ball free from Thompson, and it's given to the Montreal Alouettes in his first down.
Alouettes keep it, 28-yard line. Lewis Cook at the 40 will select the first down for the Alouettes on a gain of 12. Thornton and Bloom with the tackle.
Cook making his first reception out here on isolated camera and a zone defense, and he just gets Thornton back off there and runs really no pattern. He just runs down about 8-yard stop, and the Wrens can't get across fast enough to help him or to help Thornton, who dropped into the deep zone.
Montreal pulling 7-3. First down, their own 40. Pulling the pass behind him. It will be second and 10 from the 40-yard line. They talk about the loss of McCarthy. Well, actually, he and Pullen shared that spot, and I would say Pullen played about 70% of the season, if not more. So they really are not looking for anybody new in that position. And Bruce Van Ness at fullback, and the one time he played the ball, looks to be more than an adequate replacement for the Montreal Alouettes. And Ness is number 30. Peter Della Riva, number 74 at the tight end. Ed George, 65, is back in now. Second down. Wade tried to pop the ball to Della Riva on the ground with Chip Baird covering. It is now third down and 10 Montreal. Now 4 minutes and 40 seconds left in the opening quarter. It is 7-3 for the Argonauts over the Alouettes. Sternberg is 34 and Aldridge 31. You see them stealing their eyes from that sun, which, as Wes said, is a big factor here in early afternoon. Sternberg, as the punter was downfield, Wade almost hitting there. Those flags were thrown, but they'll likely be rescinded. Now they could tell as to whether Wade did fly by those teammates, making them all onside, but they say no. He did not get there in time, and they were still too close, and so the penalty was signed to the 50-yard line.
And I think they called this on Peter Delarita, who was actually behind the ball here, and Wade didn't have an opportunity to get ahead of him.
First down it is then for Toronto at the 50-yard line as they send Brown 32 and Thorpe 20 wide left. Now they shift right. Wilkinson.
I've been in that position, and even though he's free, you don't have much opportunity to find him down there.
Wilkinson actually lost a yard on the play, so now it is Toronto 2nd and 11, leading 7-3, just over 3 minutes until quarter time. Wilkinson, the quick kick, and the Alouettes are ready. A bounce off the defender into the hands of Jim Thorpe, and flags fly. Bounce off Gene Gaines. And of course, the defensive team simply has to touch that ball. But they rule no yards. They were in too close, regardless of whether or not the ball touched the receiver, Gene Gaines. The Alouettes are going to keep the ball. They come running right out, but the officials are still explaining this to the Toronto Argonauts.
Something we can talk about later tonight and probably for some time, too. There's a timeout of the field with 3 minutes to play in the first quarter. The score
of the first quarter at C&E Stadium. Lewis Cook goes right, 34. Evanson, 25. Left with Fulham in the slot. Moses Benson. That second effort. That's Benson, a gain of almost 6.
Don, there doesn't seem to be much agreement, even here in the press box, of whether the Montreal player touched that ball on the kick or not. It might have hit some of that turf and took a funny turn. It looked as if it touched his foot, but as I say, we're not in agreement, and the officials down there are a lot closer to the play than we are.
Well, they may have ruled that Thorpe was too close in any event. Second down and 4. Harrington. Marker thrown late. Both those defensive ends appear to jump in ahead of the play. There's Inskeep, number 68. And Harrington made the same move on the other side. Offside against Toronto.
Rush, you really have to be keyed up for a game like this. It's vacation time tomorrow for one of these clubs. It gets off that line a little fast sometimes. Tom, I always found these sudden death semifinals the toughest ball games to play in through the entire year because, as you say, the season comes to an abrupt end for one of the two clubs out here this afternoon.
They are now measuring to determine if it is a first down.
In case you joined us late, Wilkinson threw the Thorpe 88 yards for the Toronto touchdown. They lead 7-3. The previous longest pass thrown in the 3 games in regular season was 75 yards. That went from Mel Prophet to Jim Thorpe. The longest Montreal pass is 48 yards from Sonny Wade to Terry Evanson.
It is not a first down, as you see.
You have an opportunity to watch this third down or quick kick by Wilkinson. He made a great catch here, and just see for yourself if you feel that Gene Gaines touched the play. We've talked about that for a long time.
Second down and just an inch or 2 for Montreal. Moses Benson takes care of the remainder and gets across the 50-yard line. Jerry Inskeep, number 68, with the Toronto tackle.
49-yard line.
Coaching staff of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, of course, this is spectators here this afternoon, along with former CFL coach Jim Trimble up from New York for this game. The wrestling match finally won by Ron Arends against Tom Pullen at the 45-yard line. Second down and 5.
Well, one of the problems that Bruce Van Ness seems to be having in that offensive backfield is on the cadence and getting his blocking assignments down. That particular play on the roll-up to the right, Sonny Wade was actually ahead of Bruce Van Ness, who was supposed to be leading the blocking.
Tim Corrigan now has left the Argonaut defensive lineup, and Keith Martin, number 77, is taking his spot in the middle. Sonny Wade trying to get something straightened out there with referee Gib Sagan. There's Martin in for Corrigan. Second and 5. The ball at the 44 of Toronto. 3 wide receivers left now for Montreal. Van Ness does not have the first down. He's short by about 3 yards. Was hit by Wadsworth. Ron Arends following up. It will be 3rd and 3 from the 42. And that is a little out of the range of field goal specialist George Springate. Sonny Wade drops back into punt formation. Sternberg and Aldridge back near the 15. Now they go to the 10 for Toronto. They'll have that ball in the sun as it approaches them. Aldridge caught right there by Peter Della. And the Argonauts will start this series from between the 6 and 7 yard line, leading 7-3 with only seconds left in the first quarter. Wilkinson, 19, remains as the Toronto quarterback. Larry Taylor said that he would like to stick with a first-string quarterback. And he is trying to do this afternoon. Wilkinson has settled down after the interception on his first series of downs. Simons, nowhere to go. Gene Gaines, number 22, and number 62 for the Alouettes, Steve Smear, going in for a loss of 2 back to the 4. And at the end of the first quarter, the score is Toronto 7 and Montreal 3. We'll return to CFL action after this message.
That would work.
As long as it stayed down. 7-3 for the Toronto Argonauts on that long scoring burst to short. Field goal by Springate, Montreal's points to start the second quarter. Merrill Prophet reaching up for the completion against Charlie Collins, number 50 for the Alouettes. But the Argonauts do not have the first down. They had to be beyond the 15-yard line, and they put it down at the 14. Dave Mann leads the punting team on. The Alouettes have Jerry and Couture. Now that blinding sun is their problem in this quarter, back at the 50-yard line. Jerry at the 51 of Toronto. Down by Merrill Prophet, number 75. And the Alouettes are inside the Argonaut half of the field to begin this second quarter, trailing 7-3.
CBC playoff schedule in the CFL has 4 more games coming up. Saturday, November 14th, Calgary or Edmonton at Saskatchewan. Wednesday, November 18th, Saskatchewan at Calgary or Edmonton. Sunday, November 22nd, Calgary or Edmonton at Saskatchewan.
Bruce Van Ness at the 45-yard line will have a gain of 6.
Don't forget the Grey Cup game on November 28th in the C&E Stadium. All these games start at 2 o'clock local time, with the exception of the Wednesday game, which is 8 o'clock, and of course the Grey Cup, which is at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Second and 4, Montreal. Lewis Cook, 34 on the left side, and Terry Evanson, the wide receiver right. Benson and Van Ness stuck behind Sonny Rhodes. Evanson gets inside the 40, and that will be a Montreal first down at the 38-yard line. And Corrigal, number 79, the principal tackler.
You imagine little Terry Evanson coming up against Jim Corrigal, and he was kind of angry on the play, too.
I hope it's not a best of 7 between the two. Cullen in the slot, 75. Lewis Cook again on the left side. Evanson, right. And that's close to a first down at the 28-yard line. And again, we reiterate that the Alouettes appear to have found the man to replace Dennis Duncan in Bruce Van Ness.
Van Ness proving he can run inside, and again, Moses Benson getting a good block on Marv Lester, who was playing man-to-man on Van Ness, and Benson led him through the hole, met him head-on, and they both went down, and Van Ness went for the first down.
Line of scrimmage now the 27-yard line of Toronto. Same formation. Moses Benson unsuccessful in his attempt at a one-handed catch. There's the 2nd and 10. Benson rushed for 170 yards against the Argonauts in 3 games. Now Sam Escobar sends in Bob Story, number 18, and Pullen goes out. Story, a messenger, with a play from the bench. Story goes at 6 to the left side. For Evanson, Jim Tomlin defending, incomplete. It is 3rd and 10. Tomlin had to recover very quickly to break that play up, as Evanson had a good step on him. The game's top rusher, by the way, is Bruce Van Ness at 34 yards and 4 carries. Moses Benson has 14 in 4. And here's George Springate. Larry Fairholm holding at the 35-yard line. It is good. Springate now 5 for 5 against the Argonauts and 2 for 2 this afternoon, accounting for Montreal's entire scoring total so far, as they now trail by a point, 7-6. There's a timeout on the field with 11.5 minutes to play in the second quarter. The score is Toronto 7 and Montreal 6.
Looking about us at today's world, we cannot escape an impression of continuous movement and change. Prices and wages go up every year. New products and services alter our daily lives, and we need new skills and knowledge in our jobs. Often we have to scramble to keep up. In the scramble, we should not lose sight of those who cannot compete, and there are many Canadians who need our help. Children and old people, the sick, the handicapped, the blind. We must not forget them. Join with me again this year in giving your utmost support to the United Appeal or your local United campaign.
On February with Russ Jackson and Tom McKee at the C&E Stadium for the sudden death Eastern semifinal game. Argos lead 7-6, first down, their own 35. Jim Thorpe, to make that play go, had to beat the first man. And he couldn't do it. Bobby Lee Thompson, number 21, playing for the injured Rip Davis. Turning into a gain of 2 yards. They'll be 2nd and 8 to go from the 37 now. Bobby Taylor in now for the Argonauts with Thorpe just wide left. Simon looking for Taylor. Got him. Oh, it is ruled no catch. It is ruled incomplete. And Taylor is irate.
Well, Code played this exceptionally well, and Simons made it appear that he was going to run with this ball. Code was back with Taylor out of the picture here, and then finally Simons just threw that ball out there. Bobby Taylor here keeps the ball off the ground, it appears, on that replay. There's no doubt about that, Don. He had the ball off the ground. He pulled it right into his chest and fell on it, but he kept his arms underneath it.
The official was behind him and made the call, and the others now have come in to reevaluate the play, and it is going to be a first down for Toronto. It is ruled a catch.
Here we'll see it again as Bobby Taylor keeps the ball off the ground, scooping it up like a basket, and the official behind could not see this. But Bill Simons did an exceptionally fine job of running there, making it appear as though it was a running play, and he forced Code to come back up and try and help with the tackle, and then he dropped it over his head.
The game is 22 yards. Taylor now goes right. Out to Simon. Reversing his field. At the 45-yard line, Bill Simon does a gain of 6. Merle Code finally catching up with him. In fact, he had beaten Code. He would have clearance to this near sideline. Jim Thorpe coming back in now, and Tom Bland up to the sideline. The Thorpe and Taylor are the flankers. They both go right. Morrow is the tight end on the left side. Simon's into the slot. Now they shift left. Simon. Appears to have the first down on the left-handed throw from Tom Wilkinson. It will be close.
Don Wilkinson appeared to lose control of that ball, and then he switched it to his left hand and just more or less basketball pitched it ahead to Simons, who just tried to get the yardage for the first down.
They do not have the first down.
Some of the fans are yelling, go for it. I don't think they will, nor do I think they'll try a field goal. That wind is swirling around a little bit too much. Well, Jonas is coming in, so they're going to try it, apparently. Oh, they are going for it. 1 yard to go.
Ron Tapham comes in to play center. Wilkinson is the quarterback. Every indication they're going. It's got to count. For a thought that never got there off the back of Larry Fairholm as Wilkinson was dumped by Mark Cosmos, and the ball goes over to the Montreal Alouettes as the Argonauts failed to pull them offside with a quick count from Wilkinson.
By the look of Wilkinson, I think there was some mix-up from the center and him, and here we see Cahill going down to talk it over. I think that ball was supposed to come up when the Montreal Alouettes jumped outside. Maybe they should have gone for that field goal afterward. I tried to get Jonas in, Don.
Argonauts have now lost 3 third-down gambles against Montreal this year. Alouettes first down, their own 43. Here's Bruce Van Aert. This is an option play. Evanson. Ronald Owens with a tackle on Terry Evanson, but it's a big first down for Montreal.
Van Ness taking a handoff here from Sonny Wade, and the Toronto Argonauts in his own defense, and Van Ness threw this perfectly because he threw it low and in front of Renz, who was in behind Evanson, and if he'd laid that ball out there, certainly Terry Evanson would have had a great deal of trouble catching it.
25-yard gain to the 43 of the Argonauts. Quick release. Cook was waiting for it, along with Pullen in between the six corner to break it up. We're about midway through the second quarter, 7:36 left on the clock, and the Argonauts cling to that 7-6 lead. Pete Martin, 77, coming in now defensively, and the rookie Canadian of the Year in the East, Jim Corrigal, 79, goes out. Second-year quarterback in pro rank, Sonny Wade. And Evanson left, Cook and Pullen right for this second down play. Too far for Evanson. And at the 8-minute mark of the second quarter, the score is Toronto 7 and Montreal 43, the Montreal Alouettes. 31 is Aldridge and 34 Sternberg, awaiting an expected third down punt from Sonny Wade. Justin Canale, though, is going to attempt a long field goal with Larry Fairholm holding at the 51-yard line, angle left.
Got a little wind here, too, helping him.
Aldridge at the 15. The ball came loose, but the play had been stopped by the whistle. The Argonauts will start from the 15-yard line, leading 7-6. Wilkinson now coming into your picture. He has been the Argonaut quarterback since the outset. 75 is the tight end, Mel Prophet. Wide receiver number 20 at the back of the huddle, two of them, 24 Taylor and 24. Morrow, number 11, the tight end. Back to Ramey and Simon. Wilkinson behind center Bob Swift. Simon. He was looking for Bobby Taylor and then had to run the ball, a gain of perhaps a yard. Steve Smear, number 62, was the principal tackler for Montreal.
Most of those end sweeps of the Argonauts, Don, the Alouettes are, as we say, stringing them out, and they're getting good support from their defensive backs who are coming up and helping the linebackers who are not letting Ramey or Simons get around the corner.
The Argonauts have been using Simons as their wide threat, with Ramey sent into the middle, but Ramey has not been a major factor as a ball carrier this afternoon. Announcing that the time on the scoreboard is no longer official because the clock has become inoperative. It stopped at about 7 minutes to go in this second quarter. That's being explained now to members of both teams. The one correct part of the scoreboard is the score. 7-6 for the Argonauts over the Alouettes. It is 2nd and 9 for Toronto from the 16-yard line when play resumes. Now they say 6 minutes left until halftime. Montreal front four, Smear, Collins, Judges, and Highsmith. That's been their combination defensively throughout this game. Thorpe and Taylor both come to the left side now for this second down play. Simon. Quick reaction to make the catch as Widger was hounding quarterback Wilkinson and forced him to hurry the throw, and they lost the yard they picked up in the previous play. Charlie Collins and Mark Cosmos for the tackles on Tom Wilkinson. Story goes back to secure near center field for Dave Mann's kick. Story back at the 45. And a sure tackle thrown on him by Tony Morrow, number 11. And so the Argonauts get out of a deep hole there on the bounce from the Dave Mann kick. Now 5 minutes and 10 seconds to play in the second quarter. 7-6. The Argonauts bring the back lead, but apart from the one big play that got the touchdown for them, they have done nothing offensively. Ball was tipped, originally intended for Evanson against Tomlin, and then following up downfield was Tom Pullen, but he too could not make the reception.
Run a good pass pattern for that man-to-man defense the Toronto Argonauts win, and actually Terry Evanson had a step or two on Tomlin in that bend-in pattern, and if he had gotten that ball from Wade, he had a lot of running room in front of him.
2nd and 10, still at the 45. Wade is 6 for 16 and 60 yards in this game. Microphone, 2-5 for Evanson. Tomlin, 23, defending for the Argonauts. Looks to be a holding call against Montreal. Holding, Montreal is the call. It has been declined by the Argonauts, who forced Montreal into a 3rd and 10 at the 45-yard line. And send back to receive the expected punt, Aldridge 31 and Sternberg 34. Wade will kick from near the 35-yard line. Just away from Thornton. Good kick. Sternberg at the 10. He's rolled down by Tom Pullen at the 15-yard line to start the series of plays. And once again, Toronto, as the punters take over here in the second quarter, starting deep. We have 4:13 until halftime. That was a 53-yard punt by Wade. His best to go. Fourth and Taylor's set to the left side. Ramey at the 23-yard line. Dave Ramey is just 2 away from the first down. Mike Widger, number 41, being helped up by Al Panath, was the tackler.
The news from the West, defensive tackle Greg Pipes of Edmonton today was named top lineman in the Western Conference for this season. Offensive end John Sense of Winnipeg Blue Bombers was named the Canadian Rookie of the Year. Jim Torgo won that in the pregame ceremony here. Received a watch which he should donate to the C&E if he would, if it's still working to help us. How much time do we have left now, Don?
3.5 minutes left until halftime, Tom. 2nd down and 2. Ramey in the first down range across the 30-yard line. Moral Code, number 17, and Gordon Judges, 61, stopping Dave Ramey. Not before he gained 8 at the 32 and got the Argonauts up with one of their few first downs this afternoon. There's a timeout on the field with 3 minutes to play in the second quarter. The score is Toronto 7 and Montreal 6. We go to the final 2 minutes and 50 seconds of the second quarter here in the Sudden Death Eastern Division semifinal game. As the Toronto Argonauts get set to run a first down play from their 32-yard line, leading 7-6. But their total rushing offense, thanks to Dave Rainey's last dart of 8 yards, is now 15. So Rainey doubled it on that play. Bill Simon caught for a loss of a yard at the 41. Smear was there, along with Fairholm, 19. And Charlie Collins getting up last.
Done that twice this afternoon that Bill Simons has caught a lateral pass that's been thrown overhand, and if he doesn't catch one of those, that's going to be a free ball.
Simon's had to work hard. He has had 3 receptions today, but he's gained just 2 yards. Wilkinson away from Smear. The pass hit the ground in front of Mel Prophet. He holds it up saying it's a catch, but this time they had it pegged. It is incomplete. So third down and 11.
Mel Prophet coming down here, and we'll see him trap the ball. It'll bounce in front of him. Wilkinson under pressure, rolled out to his right, and the ball bounced in here, as we see.
So a man will kick on third and 11. Montreal defenders near their own 40-yard line, showing man plenty of respect, just getting that away. Couture at the 50-yard line is hammered down as Dave Mann was very close to coming in and scooping up his own punt. Kick went just to 33 yards, and so from the 50-yard line, the Alouettes, trailing by a point, 7-6, start out first down.
We've got a couple of controversial plays in this half. Wilkinson, a quick kick, and also that pass to Bobby Taylor. It's great action for the armchair quarterbacks, and we'll be taking a look at how they react on those post-game radio shows across the country in our halftime feature. Gotta watch for Brian Hall. He's determined.
Bruce Van Ness broke a tackle from Wadsworth back at the 50 and then reached center field. Chip Barrett with a stop finally, number 30 at the 54-yard line. 52nd down as far as to go now. With a minute and 30 seconds, and now the C&E Stadium Park is operative once again. Evanson wide left. Lewis Cook, 34 on the right side. Pullen, 75 in the slot. Rogers thrown as Benson has an apparent first down near the 48-yard line. And the indication would be offside against Toronto. In this case, the game is about as long as an offside penalty. It has been declined. They will stick with the gain and go first down right there at the 49. A minute and 11 seconds remain now. Oh, great catch by Moses Benson at the 37-yard line.
Benson lined up as a slot back in this particular formation and just slanted in over the middle here and just took that ball out of the Argonauts' hands. Sonny Wade releasing it quickly and not really showing what a great catch it was on the picture there.
It gives the Alouettes another first down from the 38 this time. For Delariva, batted down by Aldridge with Lester there defending. We have the minute flag up. 54 seconds on the clock. Joey now coming in for Bob Pullen, or Tom Pullen. That is no doubt with the play for Sonny Wade from Santa today. Joey moves to the left side to complement Joey Evanson. Peter Della 22-yard line. Again, it is a first down for the Montreal Alouettes with 45 seconds left.
Toronto Argonauts in a man-to-man defense here with number 30, Chip Barrett on Della Riva. He delayed at the line of scrimmage and went over the middle, and Chip Barrett was caught out of position. We see him coming in here now, and Della Riva beats him for another 7 or 8 yards.
Della Riva learned his basic football just a few miles down the road in Burlington with the Junior Braves. Incidentally, those Braves play in Regina on November 11th for the Canadian Junior Championship. Lewis Cook, rocked by Gary Inskeep, as Marv Lester from the safety blitz almost got to the quarterback, Sonny Wade. And Echeverry says that Sonny is a quarterback who can withstand the rush and the blitz. And he was tested severely on that play. No gain. It's still at the 23-yard line. Second down. Now down to 10 seconds on the clock. The Alouettes will have to hurry. It is no good. Wade is unhappy about that. Lewis Cook was deep in the end zone. The closest man to the ball was Dick Thornton. Now, do we have any time remaining for a Montreal field goal? They say no. And so it is halftime. And the score, Toronto 7, Montreal 6. We'll bring you on because
Montreal certainly do have the advantages when it comes to first down and have enjoyed in the first 30 minutes possibly the better positional play on the field. But they've had 11 first downs to Toronto's 3. That first down passing for 131 yards is a little misleading. Of course, the big one went to Thorpe for 88 yards. That took care of most of that total. Van Ness, 5 for 39, Benson, 5 for 19. Ramey has had 3 for 10, and Simons, 5 for 5 yards. Thorpe, of course, got the touchdown on that pass from Wilkinson, which went for 88 yards. And the longest passing play that the Montreal Alouettes have managed to come up with is Evanson. He has gone for a total of 57 yards on 4 catches. And Van Ness threw the longest one to him. That went for 25 yards. And the score, Toronto 7, Montreal 6. We'll continue with our halftime show. Time to back with Russ Jackson. And Russ, it looked as if Montreal was going to get all the breaks as they picked off that early interception. That's true. With Gene Gaines picking that interception off early, we have it here on a replay with Wilkinson getting good protection. And Mel Proft at the bottom of your screen blocks on Cosmos and then starts downfield. And Wilkinson, the ball gets away from him. He overthrows Proft, who was in the open. And Gene Gaines, playing as a free safety, as he always does in that zone defense, picked it off and put them in position for their first field goal. Bruce Van Ness, who has been put in Duncan's spot, has shown himself well. Tommy Pullen gets a good block on this play. And then Benson, who again gives second effort all the time, does a good job of staying with Aldridge, the corner linebacker, and Van Ness turns it upfield for a gain of about 14 yards. The big play for the Toronto Argonauts certainly has been the short catch. And the Montreal Alouettes with Toronto in double flankers to the upper part of the screen that we don't see. A little fake into the center there to Dave Ramey. And Larry Fairholm and Thompson seem to go asleep on the zone on the weak side. And Thorpe got in behind him, made a great over-the-head catch here. And it appeared that Thompson might have a shot at him. But Thorpe turned the right way and cut the angle, and he didn't give anybody a chance to get him. The big play, I think, or one of the big plays of the first half was this quick kick by Wilkinson. It was a rather funny play right from the start here with the snap coming out, a real floater. Wilkinson making a good catch, getting the kick away, and then the conjecture after with Willard, Gene Gaines had touched the ball here. And it appeared to bounce in front of him and hit the turf, which is very loose, and a Toronto Argonaut player came in and picked up the ball. He wasn't sure whether Gaines had touched it or not, and the ball was given to the Montreal Alouettes. Toronto gambled on third and short yardage, and Ted Collins will jump offside here. The center didn't bring the ball up, which I believe in a situation like this, he should center it now. Collins got back, and Wilkinson thought he might have had him offside, and he threw the ball into the back of one of his ball players going out here, number 20 Thorpe. He wasn't really prepared for it or expecting to get the ball. Benson again playing well, made a great catch near the end of the first half here. Coming into the middle, he picked the ball off. We don't see the catch, how great it really is, but he just picks that ball off and leads them in to give them another shot at a field goal.
Russ takeaway for long pass play for the 88 yards, and Toronto is under 60 yards total offense. The thing is, what are they going to do, or what do you think is going to happen in this second half?
Well, I think that the Montreal Alouettes are stringing out the offense, the running game of the Toronto Argonauts. And I think the Alouettes are sitting in his zone defense a great deal of the time, and I believe that Toronto is going to have to throw that ball. And they've got good receivers like Prophet and Mora who can find those open spots against the zone, and I believe they're going to have to come at the pass with short hooks and curls and bend in.
Okay, we'll find out in just a few minutes. The score is Toronto 7 and Montreal 6, and we'll return with the second half kickoff in just a moment.
Look on here. Hey, look at that thing, will you? Wow. I didn't think you had that kind of taste. You look at that.
Beautiful. Why didn't you ever get us something like that? Isn't that lovely? Maybe you will in another day. I wanted to be a surprise.
A great way to wake up the neighborhood. The 1971 Pontiac, a General Motors Mark of Excellence car.
Don Chevrolet with Wes Jackson and Tom McKee, our spotter-out darts, and statistician Ron Andrews at the C&E Stadium as the Montreal Alouettes make an appearance for the second half, trailing 7-6. Wes, you were talking a while ago about what the Argonauts might have to do. What about the Alouettes now in this third and fourth quarter?
The Toronto Argonauts, Don, are playing a great deal of man-to-man defense, and this puts a lot of pressure on the linebackers to cover people like Jensen and Van Ness. And on a lot of those inside running plays off tackle, the Montreal Alouette backs have just been one step away from maybe 30 or 40-yard gains, where Corrigo and Aldrich have made good plays to contain them for maybe 6 or 7 yards. So I think the Alouettes might continue to try and break inside on that man-to-man defense, and in hopes that if they can get that linebacker, that they could get a big gain out of that interior running of theirs.
I'm very much impressed with the play of Bruce Van Ness. A very difficult task for him to step in for Dennis Duncan, but what a whale of a job he's done in the first half.
He has been one of the outstanding ball players out there, not only running the ball, but he completed that pass to Terry Evanson on an option pass play. And in the interior running, he is getting good blocking with Denson leading him. Twice in there, we had Denson coming in, getting good blocks, and Marv Lester appears on the man-to-man defense to be playing on Denson and leaving Van Ness for the linebackers. And on one particular play, Van Ness carried the ball out tackle with Denson leading the play, and Denson and Marv Lester collided about 2 yards over the line of scrimmage. They both went down, but Van Ness, because the block was thrown on the linebacker, managed to get free and gain about 15 yards. So I think that he's playing a terrific ball game, especially under the pressure conditions of today.
They indicate the control of the ball. The Alouettes have had 41 plays from scrimmages against 25 for Toronto in the first half. And now Justin Canale's kickoff. We get the second half underway. Ramey and Simons are back there. This is Bill Simons. Couture with Fairholm combining to finally stop Bill Simons at the 51-yard line. He brought it back 36 yards at Canale's 50-yard kickoff. The Argonauts start from the 52 is where they placed the ball. Simon 33 and Ramey 14. Jim Thorpe number 20. And Graham 32, the flankers going left. Morrow and Prophet at the tight end. Wilkinson set at quarterback, 19. There's Ramey. Nowhere to go against number 51. Walt Heisner. That'll be a loss of 3 to 4 yards on the play. A 3-yard loss, second and 13 to 10. The ball is at the 49-yard line of Toronto. And again, the Argo offense sputters early in this third quarter. For no profit, Bobby Lee Thompson. The second interception by the Alouettes today, and the ball goes over to Montreal.
Montreal continuing to stay in that zone defense, and Matt Prophet trying to split in between the two deep backs, and the ball was laid up there, and Thompson, not following a fish this time, was in good position to make this reception. He tried to maintain his balance and stay inside that outside marker, but he was on it and then fell out of bounds.
At the 23, first down Montreal. Sonny Wade, 14 at quarterback. Moses Benson. That's by Harrington and Lester. Gain of 5 yards near the 28. We're into the second minute of play in the third quarter with the Argonauts leading the Alouettes 7-6. Lewis Cook wide right, Evanson 25, and Pullen 75 on the left side. Benson, look out. Ron Owen finally made the tackle at the 50-yard line, and with a quick burst by Moses Benson, one that almost broke the play for the distance.
A good call by Wade down on that particular defense. Kroger moved out of his middle linebacker spot and came off to the short side and followed over top of Tommy Pullen, and there was no linebacker in the middle. Once Benson got through the defensive line, there was nothing but running space out there.
Wade had to unload against Marv Lester. Will be second and 10 from the 50-yard line. That's the second time the Argonauts have sent Lester barreling through there, and the second time that Wade had to hurry his pass, and Argo succeeded in breaking the play up. Bobby Taylor with a view from the Argonaut bench.
He caught 8 passes for Toronto, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, the only time he played against the Owls in the regular season action.
Evanson could not hold on inside the 45-yard line. Aldridge made contact, and then Lester was waiting there with Corrigal. And it becomes third down and 10 Montreal.
And Evanson a little upset with himself there. He felt he should have caught that ball and kept his drive going because it was a good call against the zone defense, and he found the spot between the two linebackers.
Look at those shadows getting longer and longer, and it's nice for these receivers.
Pick out the turn man.
Sternberg almost had that ball slipped behind him, but gathers it in.
No telling his hands down there, Don.
Well, not in that corner. Crowd, again, capacity at C&E Stadium, and forced them to manufacture some semblance of an offense. The only real offensive burst they enjoyed was the touchdown pass to Jim Thorpe, covering 88 yards. That is back in the first quarter. First down, 25-yard line. It will be close to a first down. Bobby Thompson and Cosmos get the tackle. And they will request the measurement. Appears to be, and is, just a little bit short. They'll measure one more time. Position the ball properly, and make it second down and just inches to go. Wilkinson on the keeper, rolls to the 28-yard line. That takes care of the first down. There's a timeout on the field now with 11 minutes to play in the third quarter. The score is Toronto 7 and the Toronto Argonauts, having collected just their fourth first down today, is against 12 for Montreal on the 28-yard line, first and 10. Bill Simon. Gain of between 8 and 9 yards, met by Bobby Lee Thompson and Steve Smear.
Toronto Rush seemed to be doing much better along the ground early in this first quarter. Perhaps they have more confidence in this field now than they had in the first half.
They're holding up very well, isn't it?
It's holding up very well, Tom. And actually, they're running those sweeps to the short side away from their flankers. When they tried to run them towards Bland and Thorpe, they were getting strung out by the defensive corners and halfbacks. But now they're coming back to the short side.
It is 2nd and 2. Quick pass, marker throw. Bill Simon near the 38-yard line. And again, that better side apparently has succeeded in drawing the Montreal Alouettes offside.
This time the center got that ball up there as they jump offside. Here he comes in here, he's offside. The center gets the ball up, and it's an automatic first down for the Toronto Argonauts.
The penalty moves the ball to the 41-yard line. Penalties have not been a big factor. Each team has been assessed 15 yards for 2 infractions. Thorpe and Bland go to the left side for this first down play. Ramey had been the intended pass receiver, away over his head. I'll have to undertake some field repairs back there in the area of the pass.
Don Hill is the Canadian quarterback who is the absolute expert on drawing the defense outside. Did you recall?
I wonder who that would be. Right, maybe you can explain how you do that.
Well, you're really not drawing them outside. It's just a change of cadence that you have in your offense that you use throughout the ball game.
Did you hear that? They should look and not listen, I suppose. Bill Simon collecting a tackle near the 44-yard line. Ed Collins, number 66, with the tackle. That runs to third down and 8 for Toronto. On the 44, 9 minutes and 20 seconds to play in the third quarter. It is 7-6. The score unchanged from the opening quarter in favor of the Toronto Argonauts. At least the Alouettes got a field goal in the second quarter. And Couture to the 45-yard line on the punt return. Man 6 just floating up there. Traveled only 25 yards. Tony Morrow made the tackle. The Alouettes with a good field position now, their own 45-yard line. Still a point behind. Dan Etchebay was a little unhappy with Sonny Wade at halftime about his failure to go for the field goal. Time ran out as the Alouettes tried to go for the 7 points. Evanson in the grasp of Jim Tomlin. And Billy Evanson's been quite a factor in this Montreal attack today. First down it is after a 15-yard gain from the Toronto 51-yard line. Evanson goes to the right side again. Lewis Pick 34, strong left. Moses Benson. Rocked by Thornton after Mike Bloom got a piece of him. And he reaches the 38-yard line, and once again it is a Montreal first down. Their 14th today.
Marv Lester was playing man-on-man on Moses Denson on that particular play, and he was off on the right side over Denson, and when he crossed over and ran through the right side of the offensive line, Lester got caught in a traffic jam and couldn't get across to make the tackle.
Denson is 69 yards now and 8 carries. Van Ness pitching it back to George. Wade has recovered for the Alouettes. A dangerous move that was.
The linemen never expect to get the ball here, and under extreme pressure, Wade fired this ball out, and Van Ness made a great catch. He just turned around and caught it, and Aldridge was right on top of him. And when Van Ness pitched it out here to the lineman, it bounced off his shoulder pad, and the Toronto Argonauts player had a shot at it.
See Jim Corrigan there. He is second down and long yardage, 25 yards to go for the Montreal Alouettes. After that series of fumbles, and a quick kick by Wade. Badly executed. Rana ends at the 28-yard line for Toronto. He was tracked down by number 34, Lewis Cook. We are about midway through quarter three. It is still 7-6 for Toronto. And again, of course, capacity at the CNE, 33,135.
Well, that close score, Don. We could have overtime in this game. If that happens, there'll be a 10-minute rest when players will leave the field, go to their dressing rooms at the end of regulation time. They'll come back for 2 10-minute periods. A kickoff to start each 10-minute period. If there's still time, they'll have a 5-minute rest, not leave the field, and continue. And that way, the 10-minute period, there will be no sudden death.
All profit. They mark it inside the 40-yard line, but he has the first down. Ball between the 39 and the 40 and a 12-yard gain. The pass to no profit for dependable tight end. Tony Morrow is the other tight end, number 11. He and Marco will alternate, but Morrow has seen more action today. Bland goes left and Thorpe goes right. Taylor out of the lineup once again. Jim Thorpe, Marco is slow. Leo Cahill said something to one of the officials at the sideline, pointing out that Thorpe had been ridden out of bounds. Thorpe flanked out here to the right or bottom of your screen, tries to do an out and down, and he gets pushed out of bounds here. He's actually blocked out of bounds by Thompson, number 21, and they call pass interference against the Montreal Alouettes. A good play by Thompson, because if he had not done that, I think Thorpe might have gone right by him and had a chance for the touchdown again. A good call on that play, too. So the ball goes to the 53 of Toronto, and they will have a first down on the interference call. The length of the penalty gain is 13.
Toronto Argonauts have not enjoyed very good field position for most of this game. This is about the best they've ever had it.
Even their scoring play originated deep their 31-yard line, and not really been inside Montreal territory since that point. Rainey caught by Mark Cosmos and rolled back. Are those defensive keys the linebackers might be applying on people like Rainey, Russ, in a situation like that?
Well, Mark Cosmos moved in to a middle linebacker spot with Charlie Collins. They had the two of them inside the defensive tackles, and the quick count with the Toronto Argonauts, the offensive line didn't seem ready to block Cosmos, who had a free go at Rainey.
2nd and 12. Simon. He was clipped by Collins and then came to rest at center field. Highsmith was there. The gain is going to be 8 yards short of a first down. Just over 5 minutes until three-quarter time here in Toronto. It is still 7-6. The Argonauts cling to that precious 1-point lead in this semifinal game. Dave Mann is the punter. Almost blocked. Bob Story, or Couture, crossed the 20-yard line. And the Alouettes got a real good charge on Mann with that punt.
Dave Mann's momentum, actually, when he's fumbling the ball here, carried him off his feet. He seemed to fall himself after he got the kick away, but he had trouble handling that ball. He's been getting some low centers this afternoon on the third down punt.
And the extra bit of juggling allowed the Montreal defenders to get ever so close. It's Sonny Wade now, first down, 21-yard line. Ball was tipped, and Evanson made a move for it. Nobody got there in time. Ed Harrington got a hand up to deflect it as Wade released the ball.
Early rumblings of Grey Cup festivities, I think that's the right word, rumble, starting to filter into Toronto. That comes up in 3 weeks. Incidentally, if you want any information across the country concerning the Grey Cup dinner on the Friday night, get in touch with Ken Quigg at the C&E. That's all the address you need, Ken Quigg at the C&E.
Pete Martin, 77, playing for the injured Jim Corrigal defensively. Bruce Van Ness. Met by Martin and a few friends near the 25-yard line, and that prevents the first down. Well short by a good 5 or 6 yards. This, by the way, is the deepest Montreal has had to scrimmage in the entire game. And they started this series at the 21-yard line. Maybe third down and 7 now. And Wade gets set to kick to Aldridge and Sternberg. When that's done, in the defender's eyes is a factor. That's a good kick. Maybe Wade's best today. Chip Barrett runs it back. Reaches the 33-yard line. That was a 63-yard punt by Sonny Wade. It's 3 minutes and 50 seconds until three-quarter time. 7-6. Toronto leads.
Keep in mind, there can be no tie in this game and no sudden death. 10-minute overtime period.
The way these two punters have been booting the ball, that could be a determining factor later on. Bobby Taylor's back in now. He heads to the left side with Jim Thorpe. Rainey in the slot right. Bill Simon. This is the 43-yard line, and that is almost 10 yards. Mark Cosmos, number 58, met him there. In fact, it is so close they have requested a measurement, the Montreal Alouettes have.
Just called by Wilkins for that particular play. I think he changed out at the line of scrimmage with the Montreal defense jumping around and shifting to the wide side of the field. There was quite an opening over there, and Simon, who started inside, bounced to the outside and got close to the first down.
Any portion of the ball will do, of course, and now the examination is to reveal if that tip is touching the marker or not. It's that close. Danny Nicolak leaning in for a closer look on behalf of the Argonauts. Bill Simon, by the way, had 5 carries for 5 yards in the first half, and in this quarter alone, he's run the ball 4 times for a total of 30. You saw Nicolak there straightening up the post to make sure it was at the right pitch. And that did the trick. They got the first down. Toronto's 8th first down as they start to pile them up now after a very sluggish first half. Line of scrimmage is the 43-yard line. Collins still playing defensive tackle on the left side for Montreal, number 66 next to Steve Sneer, 62. Simons again. Mike Woodger has him. The loss will be 13 back at the 30-yard line.
The Argonauts have tried that play twice this afternoon, Don, and both times Simon's been thrown for a loss. He's been trying to pass to Rainey.
Well, there's a timeout on the field now with 2:45 to play in the third. Second and 10. Or second and more than 10. Long yardage on the last 23. Bobby Taylor breaks the tackle from Thompson, and Larry Fairhorn has him. And that still does not recover the entire loss from the first play. Gets back 10 yards. They're now third down and 12. Bobby Taylor used intermittently here in this game as he was last week against the Ottawa Rough Riders. Back from a knee injury that sidelined him for half a dozen games. Dave Mann getting set to punt. Back to Couture. Morrow missed him, and Prophet made sure as Morrow came back on the tackle to the 25-yard line. 46-yard punt by Mann that time. And if the wind is still a factor, it certainly isn't bothering these two punters very much. Montreal first down from the 25. Minute and 41 until the end of the third quarter. Moses Benson lost the ball. And it was run back by Lewis Chuck, number 34. Montreal retains possession.
Moses Benson coming in here on a short trap, and number 77, Martin, running himself out of the play. And as Benson comes out here, he just seems to lose the ball as he's going down. And Cook comes up with a big play in recovering it.
If he was not first in line by any means, two Argonauts missed it. Second and 5 now. There's Bruce Van Ness. A good defensive play prevented Van Ness from getting that first down. It was Chip Barrett just getting a piece of him with a good head of steam. Van Ness is down near the 27. And he will not have the first down by 2 or 3. Sonny Wade, his longest punt today is 63 yards, gets set to step into this one. This one is not as deep. Chip Barrett at the 31-yard line. Aldridge there had a chance to throw a block, but of course in the punt return he could not. He felt rather helpless in that situation, I imagine. The Argonauts will start from the 31-yard line with their first down.
This is a long game, I'm sure, for number 60, Danny Nicolette. In a do-or-die situation like this, if Toronto lose, it could be the last time we're seeing him in action. What a great competitor over these many years.
Bobby Taylor, set left with Jim Thorpe. It was overthrown in the direction of Thorpe, with Al Fanat covering him.
Don, the Toronto Argonauts are continually trying to break deep against this zone that the Montreal Alouettes are playing almost every time. There's no secret they're going to be in a zone defense. And I'm surprised that, as I mentioned at halftime, that they're not trying to hit Prof a little bit more and more with little curls and hooks that may be 12, 15 yards deep.
Another surprising factor is the lack of scoring in the game for these two teams. They piled up a total of 132 points in 3 games between them. Now it is 7-6, and what could be the final play of this third quarter. Jim Thorpe rocks on a good tackle by number 21, Bobby Lee Thompson. Thompson looks as though he's never been away. Left the Alouettes in 1962 and has been in the National Football League. On Chevrolet with Russ Jackson, Tom McKee, the C&E Stadium in Toronto. The sudden-death Eastern semifinal game going into the fourth quarter with the Montreal Alouettes a point behind the Toronto Argonauts. But in terms of total offense, ahead of the Argonauts, 220 to 174 through three quarters here this afternoon. Argo is on third and 3. Dave Mann steps the punt. Not one of his best. Couture taken down by Tony Moore at the 46-yard line. Montreal has supplied 14 first downs against 8 for the Argonauts.
That wind is playing some funny tricks. It's actually blowing across the field at each end. But as it gets into the bowl, it starts swirling around. I think that's why Dave Mann tried to keep that ball down, more like a bullet drive than throwing it up in the air too much.
Moses Benson. Caught by Beth, and Wadsworth comes in to finish the play near center field, and the gain is going to be around 8 to 9.
Well, it feels as if it's just going to be a matter of time before Montreal really bucked out on that play. Benson almost did it in the third quarter.
And in that particular play, there was a pile-up, and most offers would stop on the front side of it, but he went right up over top and got an extra couple of yards. Second and 2. Again, Moses Benson behind the lead block of the fullback, Bruce Van Ness. Just gets across center field, but it appears as though he is just short of the first down. A little better than 2 yards to go. And they're going to measure now to determine whether or not Benson, with a great second effort, picks up the first down. His rushing total now is 84 yards and 11 carries in this game. And they are short, as you see.
Number 27, Marv Lester, coming in here and gets a shot at Benson. He can't quite hold him, and Benson, with that great second effort, breaks loose and gets it up pretty close to the first down.
54-yard line of Toronto, third down and inches. The Owls going. Gets in ahead of the play. Van Ness carries on. Flags all over the field. The Argonauts were successful in producing an offside and an ordered call by Tom Wilkinson, and now the same thing has happened with Sonny Wade. And the Alouettes getting a 5-yard penalty imposed against Toronto from the 50-yard line now. Montreal goes first and 10. 13 minutes, 13 seconds in regulation time. Lewis Cook. Ball slipped right to his hand. With Dick Thornton covering at the 35-yard line.
I say, if the offense in this football game continues the way it is now, we're going to see the birth of a lot of new, fresh faces for kickers in the last 2 minutes of this game. That big Canadian point looms larger than ever.
Oddly enough, not one tie throughout the CFL season until the final game of the schedule last Sunday in Montreal, when Hamilton and the Alouettes played to an 18-18 deadlock. Della Riva, big catch against Barrett at the 12-yard line.
The Toronto Argonauts again in their man-to-man defense, and we get a great block here by Cepatelli, the center, coming back and picking up that outside man who had a shot at Wade. And Della Riva made another of the great catches he's made all year over Chip Barrett to put the Alouettes in good scoring position.
That block certainly made the play because the blind side was open to Keith Martin. And Pullen scores for Montreal. Tom Pullen in the corner beating Ron Arends. And the Alouettes, for the second time today, are in the lead. They briefly led 3-0 with a field goal very early in the game. Now this touchdown puts it on top 12-7 with the attempt for the extra point by George Springate pending. Larry Fairholm will hold. Springate is good. So the team's now 6 points apart with the Alouettes in the top end. And there's a timeout on the field with 12 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. The score is Montreal 13 and Toronto 7.
The scoring in this game, I thought there would be an awful lot more offense than there has been. What is the reason? The defense playing that well, or the offense falling back on their job a bit?
Well, I've been surprised that the Toronto Argonauts have had a problem in getting any offense going, and again, I've been surprised that they have not come back with the short passes. The Alouettes are playing strictly their zone with Bobby Lee Thompson in there for their first game. They feel, I guess, that they don't want to play too much man-to-man and put too much pressure on him. And I've been thinking all through the ball game that the Argonauts would come with their hooks and curls that Papa runs so well and can find that slot, as we call it, on the defense against those zones.
Only 2 touchdowns have been scored in this game, one by either side, and of course those 2 big field goals by George Springate, 3 in the first quarter, 3 in the second quarter.
The Alouettes went ahead on those 2 big plays, a 30-yard pass to Della Riva, a 12-yard strike to Tom Pullen. Here's Justin Canale's kickoff. Simon. Back to midfield.
You see the Montreal touchdown here on replay. Wade running to the right. Tommy Pullen out of the picture, went down to the goal line and ran a square out to the Coffin corner, and the ball was out in front of him with the Wrens not having a chance at it.
Bill Simons returned Canale's 65-yard kickoff, 55 yards to center field. And on that last play, Lewis Cook, number 34, was injured and is being administered to by the Montreal training staff in the area of the 30-yard line. Cook has been on the injured list until this game. He just came back to join the Owls, and so naturally thought he would give him some deep speed. He's capable of playing both ways. And now Cook is helped off, and for the time being, the Alouettes are short a man.
It's purely guesswork at this point, but Argos do have very good field position now after that run back by Simons. That could prove for them to be one of the biggest plays of the day outside of any scoring play.
First down from center field. Bill Simons, 47-yard line. The advance.